Success leaves clues. Number 11. The man who wouldn't stop thinking. Have you ever had an idea that everyone around you told you was crazy? Maybe you saw something differently. Maybe you questioned something everybody else simply accepted. And maybe instead of going along with the crowd, you thought, wait a minute, is there a better way? Thomas Jefferson was that kind of person. He wasn't perfect. In fact, his life contains some enormous contradictions. But there was one habit in his life I think all of us can learn from. He thought for himself. He didn't rely on anybody else. He read constantly. He asked questions, studied subjects most people would never have connected together. He loved science, he loved law, politics, architecture, languages, philosophy. And he didn't simply collect information, he used it. What he learned, his ideas would eventually help shape a new nation. But there's a part of Jefferson's story I can find most interesting. The man who helped write some of America's most famous words about liberty was also a complicated human being whose own life did not always live up to those ideals. So today, we're not going to put Thomas Jefferson on a pedestal. We're going to look at his life honestly, and we're going to ask one question: what can we learn from him? As a boy, that's when he started learning. He loved to read. Thomas Jefferson was born in Virginia in 1743. He grew up in a wealthy Virginia family and received a strong education. As a young man, he studied mathematics, history, Latin, Greek, French, philosophy, and science. Then he went to college of William and Mary. But Jefferson didn't treat education as something that ended when class was over. He kept reading, he kept studying, he kept asking questions. He became fascinated by almost everything. That curiosity followed him for the rest of his life. He studied architecture. He experimented with agriculture. He collected books. He recorded observations about weather and nature. He even designed buildings. Jefferson was constantly learning. And that is our first clue. Successful people don't stop learning just because they have reached a certain age. Then came 1776. America was on the verge of declaring independence from Great Britain. Thomas Jefferson was chosen to help draft the Declaration of Independence. He was primarily a drafter, although his document was revised by the fellow committee members in Continental Congress before it was adopted on July 4th, 1776. Think about what that means. A man who spent years reading about history, government, philosophy, and human rights was suddenly being asked to put those ideas into words, and he did. The Declaration expressed a revolutionary idea that government exists to protect fundamental rights. Those words would become part of the foundation of American experiment. But there's something important. Jefferson didn't create those ideas out of thin air. He had been studying them, thinking about them, questioning them, connecting ideas from books, conversations, history, and philosophy. Then he put what he had learned to work. That's another clue. Learning becomes powerful when you actually use it. Jefferson's life didn't stop after the Declaration. He became a governor of Virginia. He served as a diplomat in France. He became America's first Secretary of State. He served as vice president, and eventually he became the third president of the United States. That's quite a journey, but Jefferson continued learning throughout all of it. He surrounded himself with books, he studied languages. He wasn't content to say, "I've learned enough." And I think that's something we can all understand. Have you ever reached to the point in your life that you thought you already knew enough? Maybe that's exactly when it's time to start learning again. As President Jefferson faced enormous decisions, one of the biggest came in 1803. The United States purchased the Louisiana Territory from France. The purchase dramatically expanded the size of the country, and Jefferson supported Lewis and Clark expedition to explore the new territory. Imagine being responsible for a decision like that. There was a certainty, there was questions, there was risks, but Jefferson believed knowledge and exploration were essential to the future. And after his presidency, he didn't simply walk away from learning. He helped establish University of Virginia. He wanted education to continue, shaping the future generations. That was the pattern we believed looking at. He learned, think, and apply and teach. That was his philosophy. That's what he lived by. And that brings us to today's free gift. If you stay to the very end, I have a free gift for you. It's called the Free Lighthouse Learning Guide. And what it will have in it, if you stay again to the very end, I'll give this to you as a free gift. You'll have Thomas Jefferson's historical timeline, 10 interesting facts about his life, the success habit we're all talking about today, lessons you can apply to your own life, reflections and questions. All right, let's continue. There was something we need to talk about. Thomas Jefferson wrote powerful words about human liberty, but he also enslaved people. The Thomas Jefferson Foundation of Medicinal documents that Jefferson enslaved more than 600 people during his lifetime. That contradiction isn't impossible to ignore. I don't think we should ignore it. History becomes less useful when we turn complicated people into heroes without acknowledging their failures. And I don't care who you examine, we all got failures, and we can all learn from them. That's what these stories are about, because nobody's perfect. We're here to learn from great people and their failures. Jefferson's story teaches us something uncomfortable. A person can have brilliant ideas and still make serious mistakes. A person can accomplish extraordinary things and still have enormous weaknesses. And perhaps one of the most valuable lessons we can take from this is don't just admire people, learn from them. Take the good, recognize the bad, and try to become better for yourself. Now let's talk about today's success habit. Think for yourself. It's so important. Don't rely on anybody else. Rely on them as little as possible and think for yourself. That doesn't mean you should ignore everybody. It doesn't mean you should assume you're always right. It certainly doesn't mean you shouldn't listen to advice. Think for yourself means something much more useful. It means you learn enough to make an informed decision. You ask questions, you look for advice, you listen to different perspectives, and then you decide what you believe. But there's one more important part. You stay humble enough to change your mind when better information comes along. That's real independent thinking. And that's something we can practice at any age. And maybe you're thinking, Randy, I'm too old to start learning something new. I don't buy that. Maybe you're 40, maybe you're you're 60, or maybe you're even 80. It doesn't matter. You can still learn. You can still read books, learn a computer skill, take an online course, learn about investing, learn about using technology, learn a new hobby, learn something that can help your family, learn something that can help your business. The point isn't becoming an expert in everything. The point is refusing to stop growing. Your greatest classroom isn't behind you. It's right in front of you. So here's my challenge for you this week. I want you to choose one thing you've always wanted to learn. Then spend 15 minutes a day learning about it. That's it, just 15 minutes. Read, watch, listen, take notes, ask questions. And at the end of 7 days, ask yourself, what do I know now I didn't know last week? Because here's what I believe. Small investments in yourself can produce enormous results over time. You don't have to change your entire life tomorrow. You just have to keep moving forward. One question, one book, one lesson, one new skill, one day at a time. Thomas Jefferson's life leaves us with many clues. Some inspire us, some change us, and some remind us that every human being is complicated. But one lesson stands out to me. Never stop thinking. Never stop learning. Never stop asking questions. And never be afraid to examine what you believe. You don't have to follow the crowd. You don't have to have all the answers. You simply need the courage to keep learning and the humility to keep growing. That's what I want to remember from Thomas Jefferson. Think for yourself and then use what you learn to make a difference. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Success Leaves Clues. Don't forget your free Lighthouse learning guide right below the video. And please hit that Lighthouse logo at the end of the video and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it. And remember, don't ever stop dreaming, believing, building, and never, ever quit.